Piers prowled his suite, unaccustomed to the edginess that consumed him ever since he'd parted ways with the blonde bombshell downstairs. He stopped his restless pacing and poured a drink from the crystal decanter on the bar, but he didn't drink it. Instead, he stared at the amber liquid, then glanced at his watch for the third time. Would she come? He cursed his eagerness. He felt like an errant teenager sneaking out of the house to meet a girlfriend. His reaction to the woman couldn't be explained, except in terms of lust and desire. He wanted her. Had wanted her from the moment he spotted her staring longingly through the open doorway of the hotel. He'd been mesmerized by the picture she portrayed. Long and sleek with slender legs, a narrow waist, and high, firm breasts. Her hair fell like silk over her shoulders and down her back, and his fingers itched to dive into the tresses and wrap them around his knuckles while he devoured her plump lips. Even now his groin ached uncomfortably. Never had he reacted so strongly to a woman, and it bothered him, even as the idea of taking her to bed fired his senses. A soft knock at his door thrust him to attention, and he hurried across to open it. She stood there, delightfully shy, her ocean eyes a strange mixture of emerald and sapphire. "I know you gave me a key," she said in a low voice, "but it seemed rude to just barge in." He found his voice, though his mouth had gone dry as soon as she spoke. He reached for her hand, and she placed it trustingly in his. "I'm glad you came," he said huskily as he pulled her forward. Instead of leading her farther inside, he wrapped his arms around her, molding her to the contours of his body. She trembled softly against him, and he could feel her heart fluttering like the beat of hummingbird wings. Unable to resist the temptation, he lowered his mouth to hers, wanting to taste her again, just once. But when their lips met, he forgot all about his intention to sample. She responded hotly, her arms sliding around his body. Her hands burned into his skin through the material of his shirt as if it wasn't there. His impatience grew. He wanted her naked, wanted him to be naked so he could feel her skin on his. Thoughts of taking it slow, of seducing her in measured steps, flew out the window as he drank deeply of her sweetness. He wasn't sure who was seducing whom, and at this moment it didn't matter. His lips scorched a path down the side of her neck as his fingers tugged impatiently at the fastenings of her dress. Smooth, creamy skin revealed itself, and his mouth was drawn relentlessly to the bare expanse as her dress fell away. She moaned softly and shivered as his tongue trailed over the curve of her shoulder. He pushed at the dress, and it fell to the floor, leaving her in only a dainty scrap of lacy underwear. All his breath left him as he looked down at the full round globes of her breasts. Her nipples puckered and strained as if begging for his attention. The tips were velvet under his seeking fingers. He toyed with one and then the other, before cupping one breast in his palm and lowering his head to press a kiss just above the peach areola. Her breath caught and held, and she tensed as his tongue lazily traced downward to suck the nipple into his mouth. Her taste exploded in his mouth, sweet, delicate like a flower, so feminine, perfect. His senses reeled, and he pulled away for a moment to recoup his control. Theos, but she drove him mad. He reacted to her like a man making love to his first woman. Already his manhood strained at his pants.